deal. So I found something out of Philly's airport. So I always try and
Oh,
customize it
really? Okay.
to get like yeah, it's not very helpful if I showed you guys something out of Chicago. I find people just don't like that. So I usually take time with these webinars to like find as an example deal I'll show. It's from the home airport of where most people are. So I found something out of Philly just so it's a little bit more relatable, understandable. All this
Yeah, I
stuff
think
I'll
that
share.
that's helpful for sure.
Yeah.
And then how old are your two little girls again?
They're 3.5 and then 10, like 10 months old. So, pretty
Wow.
fun ages, and
Yeah.
uh, and not the greatest ages for a 9-hour flight from Chicago to Honolulu, but it'll be fun. We've never done something that long uh, yet, so we'll see how it goes. But I think it's gonna be okay. We've got like a bunch of little knick-knack toys to entertain. Like we're gonna pull out different things every hour, kind of thing to keep them going.
Yeah. What's the longest flight you've done with the kids so far?
Not very long, only like Caribbean stuff, so like 3.5 hours basically. We had a trip, well, with my oldest daughter, we did go to Europe, but not with both. Um, but then we had a trip to Europe this summer planned actually, and we actually canceled it because
Mm.
um, we just decided it was too much, and it wasn't even. We had like a business class flight booked, but it just seemed like too much, so we decided uh, to do something else instead because it just wasn't worth the sleep and the time change and the effort and the long. So I know lots of people do it. We just decided it wasn't the best thing for our family. So even the travel guy has boundaries. It's just yeah, it's challenging. I never want to sugarcoat like traveling with little kids. It's so
Yeah,
hard.
we've done it. My wife and I've done Ireland because her grandparents are over there, and that's the farthest we've flown. And it's
Oh,
definitely
cool.
challenging. But
Yeah.
yeah, we got some people kind of filtering in here.
Right.
Yeah, just maybe wait till like 12:05 and kind of get started from there.
Awesome.
Thanks everybody for joining us so far too.
Yeah. And Shane, I don't usually look at the chat, or I probably can't see it on Zoom. So if you want to send questions there, then we handle those after the presentation. But you can probably moderate the chat
Yeah, yeah.
questions.
For those that are already on, basically about 40-45 minutes. And then probably 5-10 minutes Q&A at the end for anybody that has specific questions for Colin.
Okay.
So just feel free to use the chat if anybody has questions at any point. If anybody has to hop off early or anything, this is going to be recorded and we can send you, um, the rest of it afterwards as well. Well, I think we can probably just get started, Colin.
Awesome.
If anybody kind of filters in last second, we can just let them in. But thanks everybody for being here. Really, how this came to fruition was I've been following Colin for probably the past 4 to 6 months on LinkedIn. Just following a lot of his content, and it just kind of spoke to me as somebody that likes to travel. And especially for a lot of our clients that we work with, they do have a lot of goals when it comes to traveling. And spending is something that we talk to a lot of clients about, whether it's through a credit card, cash, debit. And using a credit card specifically, I think there's a lot of opportunities out there, especially for business owners or people that have high expenses on a monthly basis. So, I reached out to Colin. He was kind enough to do this. He's actually been doing this for other firms as well. Um, so I'm going to turn it over to him, but I'll give a quick little background on Colin real fast. So, Colin Stroud is a credit card rewards consultant who's on a mission to demystify the wild world of points and miles. After taking his family on several luxury trips using points, he decided to start helping others do the same and has built Go Somewhere over the last 2 years. Colin is from Indiana, but is moving his family to Hawaii in a few days for a 6-month family adventure. I think we were just talking about he's flying out Tuesday. So outside of spending hours searching for deals for clients, Colin loves spending time with his two little girls and playing pickleball. Colin is very active on LinkedIn and has quickly become the largest US-based travel points miles creator on LinkedIn. Today, he'll share his expertise with us and show us how anyone can win with points and miles and experience luxury travel for a fraction of the cost. So turn it over to you, Colin.
Awesome, Shane. Well, thanks so much for having me. Appreciate you all that are here. Always nervous about this. You are seeing my screen, okay, Shane? Just verifying when I change the slide, we're all good there. You're seeing it.
Yes.
Okay, just always want to double confirm that. So yeah, thanks so much for having me all. For those of you who heard that intro and are like, well, is this really what this guy does, like a full time? The answer is yes. It's kind of a weird, niche thing, but basically, I found, for similar reasons probably that many of you decided to come to this, is because you are confused and overwhelmed by the world of credit card rewards. Like I just kind of realized how people knew basically nothing about this stuff and everyone was confused. And I thought, okay, I think there's probably an opportunity here to help. I've always kind of loved teaching, and so I've kind of become a consultant. I mainly work on a one-on-one level with higher spending business owners, as I found that's kind of a niche that really that I can benefit a lot. But frankly, I'm really passionate about just general education on this stuff for everybody. So I am not a high spending business owner. I meet people who spend 200K a month, which is awesome. But like I don't spend 200K a month. Certainly couldn't, and I've still done some pretty amazing things. So I'm really passionate though just about teaching the basics of all this stuff to everyone, whether you are a high spending business owner or just a normal American family spending, four, five, $6,000 a month on a credit card. There are definitely things you can do, and the strategies I'll recommend really work at almost any level. So I'm super excited to be here, and I'll probably speak for around 30, 35-ish minutes, and probably not take questions during that. But please send stuff in the chat if you have questions, and then Shane can kind of moderate some Q&A after that, and hopefully have plenty of time to get to all the questions you have. So, without further ado, I'll get started here, and hopefully, this is fun and it's not too confusing. This is a new topic for many people, and so it become a little overwhelming. But if you just kind of bear with me here, there is some pretty cool things I think you'll take away from what we talk about. So you will hear a lot of people, say that points and miles are a waste of time. Uh, there's a very popular influencer who posted on Twitter the other day or X. It was like, there's no bigger waste of time in the world than playing the credit card miles game. And he got like 1 million views on that. And some people are agreeing, some people disagreeing, but it's definitely a contentious subject. It's like as we all desire to build wealth, like we all desire to live a good life, should we even be looking at this stuff? And I can see the argument for not, but if you are someone who cares about travel, I feel like it's imperative that you get a at least elementary education, which is what I'll give you today on how this stuff works. Because if you don't care about travel, yeah, it's probably not worth playing this game. But for the many of us who love travel and have seen how amazing it can be for ourselves, for our families, etc., but there's so many cool things you can do. So this is not a waste of time because you can do some pretty amazing things. And a thing I want to start off with saying is is the problem for most of you is actually not that you don't have enough points. A lot of people say that. Oh, they'll see my posts on LinkedIn about the guy spending $200,000 a month, and they'll be like, well, that guy can do whatever he wants. He's got so many points, and that is somewhat true. But you can too. You can do some cool things. You just don't know how to use your points well. So the earning side of things is actually not as big an issue as the redeeming side of things, and that's what we'll talk about today. We'll kind of hone in on that. But we do need to talk about the earning points first. But the secret to getting these kind of deals that you might have heard about on TikTok, you might have seen posts from me on LinkedIn, you might have never heard this, but you're about to and hear that you can get $5,000 worth of travel from $1,000 worth of credit card points. Some people don't believe that, but like you can do it and it's pretty amazing, and you can do even better than that. And the secret, I'll just give it away right here, is going to be understanding how to transfer points from your credit card to airline and hotel partner programs. All right, so that may mean nothing to you. We'll get into that. Don't worry. Here is a very random list of airlines, okay, and hotels. This might be totally out of context, super confusing, but this is actually a list of all of the partner airlines and hotel programs of Chase. So if you have a Chase credit card, you can likely transfer your points from Chase to any one of these airlines: Southwest, United, Virgin Atlantic, JetBlue, or hotels. You see Hyatt, you see IHG, Marriott. That's pretty cool. That still means nothing to you. It's like, what's the point? What's the point? I don't care about my points in IHG or United. What's that going to be? Well, we'll get into that. But just want to let you know you can do this, and this is going to be kind of the secret to finding some pretty amazing deals. So let me stop there on the theoretical, get a little bit practical with you. Here's an example of one of the most epic and one of my favorite redemptions I've ever done. And when I say the word redemption, I'm talking about booking travel with points. That's maybe a fancier way to say it. That's what maybe us insider points people call it, a redemption. I'm redeeming my points. So here is the Park Hyatt St. Kitts. This is a screenshot from the Hyatt website, by the way. I'm not using some sort of third party here. Why am I looking on the Hyatt website? Well, let's go back because I have Chase points, and I know that Chase points transfer to Hyatt, meaning I have access to Hyatt. So if my 100,000 Chase points can become 100,000 Hyatt points. So to go find a deal, I go over to the Hyatt website and I start scrolling. And I find this place, okay? I ended up going here in February of this year with my family. I've got two little girls, a 3-year-old and a 10-month-old. The 10-month-old is really young then, so people got some looks because she was like 3 months old when we went here. But it worked out great. So this is the Park Hyatt St. Kitts in the Caribbean. Beautiful place, like unbelievable. Probably the best hotel I've ever been to. But let's look at this. So 2-queen room, all right? So 2-queen bed, standard room. The cash rate for this hotel, for the dates I was there, is about $1,166 a night. So we'll just round up to say $1,200 a night. So very, very expensive. I personally cannot afford a $1,200 a night hotel. Maybe you can, but I assume you don't want to pay that if you don't have to. So I can't afford this. This is not what I paid. So what I do here is I come to the Hyatt website and I click use points. So I hit that tab and here's what I see. Okay, same hotel, same dates, but look at that. The 2-queen bedroom is 25,000 Hyatt points per night. So what does that mean? For some of you that you might be like, oh my gosh, what a deal. Other users you might know that means nothing to me. Is that $25,000? What is that? So typically a credit card point is going to be worth about a penny or a cent. So 100,000 points equals $1,000. And I'm getting that number because that's typically the cash value of points. So if I wanted to cash out 100,000 points, it'd be about $1,000. So the cash value of 25,000 Hyatt points is about $250. So listen here, right? Hopefully you're with me. We're getting a $1,200 a night hotel room in the Caribbean for only $250 worth of points per night. That is an amazing deal, okay? And that is actually the whole game right there. I could stop the presentation. I haven't explained how any of this still works, but I can stop and say, that is the whole game we're after. That spread, that arbitrage between the cash price being high and the points price being low, okay? $1,200 a night, but only $250 worth of points. I know that's a little confusing of like, okay, how did I find that? All this, yeah, we'll get to that. But just to show you the numbers one more time, like I said, credit card points are typically 1 cent per point. Cash price of this place is $1,200 a night. The points price is 25,000 Hyatt points. Now remember, you don't need a Hyatt credit card. You don't need to stay 100 nights a year to Hyatt to get Hyatt points. Why? Because if you have a Chase card like I do, they transfer 1-to-1 to Hyatt, also to Marriott, also to all these other programs. So if you have Chase points, you effectively have Hyatt points. So the math on this is pretty amazing because typically your points are worth 1 cent per point, but in this example, they'd be worth over 5 cents per point, which means if you are someone who's sitting on 100,000 points right now, if you learn how to do what I'm sharing, your 100,000 points are not worth $1,000 like most of your friends redeem them for. They're worth $5,000 if you know what you're doing, if you can find deals like this. So that's kind of the stakes of this presentation in my mind is if you learn how to do this stuff, if you figure out the game, your points could 2, 3, 4, 5, up to 10x in value 10x is going to be challenging. It's not very likely. You probably have to get lucky. But 3, 4, 5x is very much possible, very much doable. I help people do it almost daily at this point. So I'm sure there's some questions there and some confusion, but let's hold because we're going to get a little bit more into this stuff. So our agenda today is going to be twofold, right? How to earn points and choose the best credit card. 2, how to find amazing travel deals. So in section 2 here, how to find deals, we'll kind of circle back to what I just shared about that Park Hyatt in St. Kitts in the Caribbean. And of course, we'll do some Q&A at the end. So moving forward, what is the game? I said this word, the game, a lot of times. It is kind of a game. Like you are playing what feels like an arcade game because there's so many weird rules and regulations and tricks and tips. The simplest way to play the game and get started in the game is to earn as many flexible, valuable points as possible. And we'll talk about what those two words mean, what flexible and valuable means. And then redeem those points for as much value as possible, obviously. And then repeat it. Before we get a little bit more into this, though, I want to pause and look at this cashback versus points. So I'm obviously talking about points. I'm obviously excited about points. I talk about it all the time. But a lot of you probably are using cashback cards, or you've considered it, or your friends do, your parents do, whatever. Cashback cards are great. And for most people, they make sense. I'll say this, if you don't care about travel, yeah, please go get a cashback card. It's simple, it's good, better than a debit card, and call it a day and don't think about this stuff. It's not worth your time. But if you care about travel, the points game is 100% worth playing. And here's why. You're earning about the same amount of rewards. It's typically between 1 and 2% back, or 1x to 2x points, or whatever. It's the same thing between cashback and points cards. But there's an arbitrage opportunity with points, like the one I just shared with that Park Hyatt in St. Kitts, right? Where you would somehow get a $1,200 a night hotel for only $25,000 or $250 worth of points. That arbitrage opportunity is never going to happen with cashback. Unless you were to say, I'm going to invest it in a cryptocurrency or whatever and get a huge spread like that. Technically, yeah, that would be a thing, but no one's really doing that or talking about it at a very high level. This points thing is a lot more, I would say, more straightforward than that, and very much more accessible than that. So that's the whole reason to use points. So let's say we've thrown out cashback now, we're focusing on points. So from there's going to be 3 main types of credit cards we can get: airline, hotel, and then bank flexible cards. So airline cards, hotel cards, many of you have them. Very simple. You guys don't need my help to understand that. A Delta card earns Delta Sky Miles. You get Delta free bags. Maybe you get some Delta status. All right. Same with a Marriott card, a Hyatt card, IHG card, whatever. There's nothing wrong with those cards. In my mind, though, for most people, you will be better served by having a more flexible currency than just having one hotel or airline currency. Right? If you only have Marriott points, great, Marriott's awesome, but you only have access to Marriott. So when you go somewhere there isn't a Marriott, you're kind of stuck. Or what if you decide what if you get given a free stay by your buddy and wherever, and now you need flights, and it's like, well, you can't use Marriott points for flights. So it seems to me a little bit odd to go completely all in on one program. With some exception, like some people, work travelers, there's definitely places where going all in on one program can make sense. But I'd say for the average Joe, for myself, for most of you, over here, having a bank or flexible card makes more sense. So that would be for those of you who get ads or watch ads like the Chase Sapphire Preferred or the Capital One Venture X or the American Express Gold Card. You've probably seen ads or gotten, mailers about this stuff. These cards don't earn Delta points or Marriott points or Hyatt points. They earn flexible American Express points or Chase points or Capital One miles. And what's cool about these is you can redeem them you can use them for so many different things, like any flight, any hotel, any rental car, and you can transfer them to 15 plus different airline hotel programs. We'll get more into how that works in a second, but I'm just telling you, for most people, having the flexibility it makes so much sense. Also, you often don't have to sacrifice your favorite program. So guess what? If you love Marriott, American Express and Chase points transfer at a 1-to-1 ratio right to Marriott. So you don't necessarily lose out on Marriott points by switching to a bank or flexible card. Hope that makes sense. So then I get to, okay, Colin, you've sold me. No cashback cards, no airline or hotel cards. You want the bank card. Now, what card do I do? And that's, I can't answer that for all of you because I don't know your individual situations. I do one-on-one consulting, and that's a lot of what I'm talking about with people. It's like, what card makes sense, like a card setup for you, because it can get really confusing. So it's definitely worth getting online, getting on NerdWallet, getting on, Point Sky, any of these big blogs, and looking at the options and asking yourself some questions. What do I spend the most money on? I met a guy spending $5,000 a month on DoorDash, which is like crazy in my mind. No judgment. Like he can do what he wants. He makes good money, but like he should definitely have a good credit card that earns a lot of points because that's maybe a more highly rewarded category is dining and food delivery and stuff. So he needs a car. He needs to think about that. What kind of travel are you interested in? Are you looking to do fly business class to Europe? Okay, that means something. Or are you just looking to go to national parks in the U.S.? Okay, maybe it's a different setup there. And then what airline hotel programs do I have access to? So American Express is the only bank that transfers to Delta. So if you really were into Delta or lived in a Delta hub, yeah, you should probably have American Express card. Or Citi is the only bank that transfers to American Airlines. So if you live in Philadelphia, it probably makes sense to have maybe a Citi card. Just it'd be nice to have access like that if you're looking at these flexible cards. So ultimately, I can't answer these questions for you guys, but after the call, I will send this to Shane and the team, and he can distribute. But I am going to be giving away 2 kind of free PDF guides. One of those is called 7 questions to ask before choosing a travel credit card. So hopefully this can provide some further insight for you all to kind of make that decision. It can be confusing. So hopefully that guide will give you some help there. So let's look at more of a practical case study. So let's say this person comes to me. They're an empty nester couple. They love Europe. They love going to the Caribbean. They spend $150,000 a year on cards. So hopefully that number doesn't scare you. I know some of you spend more than that. Many of you might spend less than that. I spend less than that. I meet people pretty often spending around this. If you don't spend that, great, no problem. What I'm going to say still works. You would just earn less points. Or if you spend more than that, you earn more points. So don't think that if you only spend $50,000 a year, then this just falls apart. It's the same setup, it just you earn less points, obviously. So I would say, okay, this person, I want to get them flexible cards. I want to get them flexible points that can be used for a bunch of different stuff. And they have pretty wide travel interests. Europe and the Caribbean, there's a lot going on there. So I'm going to say this person, we'll say they live in Philadelphia for this example. Why not? I'm going to get this person set up with a simple 3-card setup. And it might sound a little overwhelming to have 3 cards. And there's ways to make that simpler and have 1 or 2. But let's just say this person's okay with that because a lot of people I talk to, they are because they really want to optimize. So I'm going to get them a Chase card and a Citi card. Why? Because Citi transfers to American Airlines. So out of Philadelphia, there's some great deals. Chase has some awesome deals and transfer partners with many foreign airlines for international business class flights. They also transfer to Marriott and IHG and Hyatt to book hotels. So there's just a lot here. So basically I have them got a good setup to earn points that are helpful for flights and points that are helpful for hotels. These are the cards I would recommend for them. I'm not going to go into all of that. You guys may not even be very familiar with these cards. So feel free to screenshot this and you can look up these cards on your own. But trust me when I say the math comes out to, let's say they earn around 300,000 points per year with this setup. So we've got our empty nester couple that likes to travel. They live in Philly. They're earning about 300,000 points a year. And we'll just assume they already have a little stack of points they've built up because a lot of people hoard points. So then the question is, well, what do they do with those points? They've got a strategy together. They're earning a decent amount of points. They're spending a decent amount of money. What do we do from here? And this is the big question. Colin, how do you find these cool deals that I see online or that you post about or whatever? Let's get into it. So before we talk about finding deals, we should define what a deal is. So I've already kind of said this, but a deal is going to be where the cash price is high and the points price is low, okay? So $1,000 a night hotel for only 20,000 points. That's $200 worth of points. If we can find a deal like that, we're winning. That's super, super good. It won't always be that dramatic, but that's the kind of thing we're after. And the metric that's going to tell us how good a deal is, or even if something is a deal, is going to be this metric here, cents per point. I've got a screenshot here from a cents per point calculator. I've included the formula if any of you are very mathy. Maybe that's you, Shane, I don't know. But hopefully you just use the calculator because it's not worth doing the math on your own. Basically, we're just measuring the value of a redemption. So how much value am I getting per point? In this example, I said 40,000 points for a $1,000 flight, and there's 50 bucks in fees. The redemption value is going to be 2.38 cents per point. Anything above 2 is a really good deal, okay? Because typically in the travel portals of your banks, we'll talk about that in just a second here, your points are going to be worth about 1 cent per point. So to be able to get 2.38x, that's a huge win. That's awesome. So speaking of that, let's talk about that. Okay, you've got 300,000 bank points, right? From that couple we looked at. It's between Chase and Citi. How do you use those points? You've got three main options. Number one, cash and gift cards. You can cash them out. You can buy a, Macy's gift card. Sometimes it's around 1 cent per point there. So not bad. So 100,000 points could be $1,000 of, Macy's gift cards or cash. I'd probably go cash over Macy's gift card. Number two, you could use the travel portals. Many of you are probably familiar with these. They look just like Expedia or Booking.com or any third-party kind of online travel agency thing you've used. And the value you're going to get is typically if you get lucky with Chase, maybe 1.5 cents per point. But typically it's going to be more like 1 cent per point. So again, 100,000 points equals $1,000. Nothing wrong with these first two options, but there is a way to do better. And that's what I'm here to talk to you about today. Number three would be transfer partners. All of these banks have long lists of airline and hotel transfer partners. You can log into your bank, you can put in your frequent flyer number or your hotel loyalty number, and you can transfer those points, and they show up typically instantly into your hotel account or your frequent flyer account. This is going to be how we get more value. This is going to be how we get 1 to even up to 10 cents per point, or I probably should say 2 to 10 cents per point. There's nothing magic about transferring, but it's going to be the method we use to find these to capture these really good deals. We'll find them on the airline websites or the hotel websites, and then we just transfer the points from the bank to actually book the deal. So there's nothing magic about sending points somewhere. That does not guarantee a deal at all. Some people get confused and think that. Nothing magic about it. It's just how we get it booked. So this is probably an overwhelming chart. So just bear with me here. This is a almost exhaustive list of all of the transfer partners of the major banks that I recommend. So I said that our couple from Philly is going to be using Chase and Citi. Now Citi recently added American Airlines on here. So this is an old chart, by the way, so that American's not on here, but I can tell you Citi does transfer 1-to-1 to American Airlines. Chase transfers to all these different ones. So you'll notice some ones you probably know, British Airways, JetBlue. And some weird ones are on here, like Avianca, right? That's a South American airline based out of Colombia. Singapore Airlines, Singapore, but most of you probably haven't thought about it much. Emirates is a Dubai-based airline, very famous, very, very luxurious. So there's a lot of foreign partners on here, which for most people, they immediately think, well, that's a waste of time. I like to fly United or I like to fly Delta. And actually, the foreign partners will unlock some pretty cool things. And just because you don't fly on Avianca to Colombia does not mean that Avianca is irrelevant to you. Irrelevant. Yeah, I said that right. It does not mean that Avianca is irrelevant, because here's how it works. Avianca, or other programs like it, exist in the Star Alliance, this huge alliance of airlines. Another airline in the Star Alliance is United. So you can actually book a United Airlines flight through a Star Alliance partner, in this case Avianca, or Air Canada. So Air Canada is also in Star Alliance. So here's something really interesting. Like Shane said, I'm actually moving to Hawaii on Tuesday, which is a very long story and very crazy. I got a one-way flight from Fort Wayne, Indiana to Honolulu, Hawaii on United Airlines, connecting through Chicago. United Airlines was charging 50,000 points per person one way for that flight. So I saw that and thought, that's kind of a lot of points. I go and I check Air Canada's website for the exact same flight. Again, the exact same flight, same plane, same itinerary, same flight. It was 25,000 Air Canada Aeroplan points. So I transferred points to Air Canada and booked it for literally half the price. Again, the guy sitting next to me, hopefully I have an open seat, but the guy sitting next to me had spent 50,000 points probably if he used United Miles, on this flight. I paid 25. That, maybe that doesn't sound like the biggest thing, but once you understand that like these options are out there for getting 50% off a points price, it's kind of hard to go back to just be doing the normal thing because there's some really amazing deals that can be found out there. All right, so this is a little bit theoretical, so let's get into something practical. I always like to keep it practical. So just so you know, I'll be honest, like this sounds prideful. I'm pretty good at this, as you can imagine. I do this all day, every day. So I do these presentations a lot. The presentation is mostly the same, surprise, surprise, but I always come in and kind of customize, and I'll find you a unique deal from the home airport of wherever most people are located. So I just pulled this. Literally, I finished this 5 minutes before the call started. So don't judge me for my lack of preparedness. But I'm telling you, it took me about 15 minutes to find this. It was not that hard, and this is a pretty cool deal. So I just found someone from Philadelphia with the right points, a pretty nice July through August summer trip itinerary to Europe. All right. So we're going to fly Philadelphia to Madrid. Okay. These are just the deals I found. So if it's a random collection of cities, yeah, maybe, but both amazing, amazing cities that people rave about. So Philadelphia to Madrid. Then we'll get one of those cheap European cash flights between Madrid and Copenhagen, that's CPH. And we'll spend a few days in Madrid, a few days in Copenhagen, and fly home to Philadelphia. All flights are nonstop. You're going to be in a premium cabin the entire time. So let's look at how I did this. So I knew, I'll pause here actually a second. I knew I had Chase points and City points, right? That's what I said in my example for this kind of case study of that couple we talked about. So I know that Chase has all these transfer partners and City has all these transfer partners. So I looked at the partners and I just kind of thought, okay, well, actually take that back. I start on Google Flights or Expedia or whatever, and I say, who flies direct from Philadelphia to Europe? And as most of you know, it's mostly American Airlines. There's not that many direct flights to Europe out of Philadelphia. There's a decent amount, and most of them are American. So I say, okay, question one, can I transfer points to American Airlines to try and book one of those flights? Well, not from Chase, but I can from Citi. But if I couldn't from Citi, I could also look at a partner airline of American, like British Airways, but I didn't have to in this case because I know I can transfer to American. So I know that like American has the most nonstop flights to Europe, so I want to go on their website and I click use points, and here's what I found. So Philadelphia to Madrid, one way, nonstop, on July 27th, 2026, in business class, so lie flat seats, 65,000 American Airlines miles plus $5.60 per person. So total, two people, one way, business class, 130,000 miles. Now, I don't have any American Airlines miles. What do I have? I have Citi points. Citi transfers at a 1-to-1 ratio to American. So I found this flight. If I wanted to book it, I transfer those Citi points I have over, which I have, 200 plus thousand. So, or probably 300 plus thousand. There's plenty because let's pretend I've been earning these points for a while now. Great, I can book this flight super easy. Send the points to American, book on American's website. Very, very simple. But before we book this, we want to make sure, is this a good deal? And if you're looking at my screen, spoiler, yes, you've already seen it is. But the cash price right now, so this is just a screenshot from Google Flights. The cash price for two people in business class, one way, would be $6,456 for this exact flight. You can fact check me here, the same dates, the same times, right? That's going to be an almost 5 cent per point redemption value, which is legendary. That's super, super good. I just found this again 5 minutes before the call started. This is what your seats would look like. This is on a Boeing 787 Dreamliner, I believe. These seats are beds. They lie flat completely. You can do the pod if you don't like your spouse and get some space, or you guys can sit together in the middle, whatever you want. Very, very nice product, very well reviewed. It's not going to be maybe as fancy as like Emirates or one of these fancy Middle Eastern airlines, but it's very nice and way better than economy. Okay. So now we spent some days in Madrid, whatever. Now we're going to get to Copenhagen. As many of you know, European airlines, it's pretty cheap to get around. So two people in economy from Madrid to Copenhagen halfway through the trip is only $211 total. We'll just pay cash for that. We'll get ourselves to Copenhagen. which is totally different than Madrid. Amazing place, really iconic. Those colored buildings. You've probably seen a million pictures of that. I've not been here. My brother went here not too long ago and loved it. So Copenhagen, awesome city in Denmark. We want to get home now. So we've been gone about 8 or 9 days or whatever it is. I could not find a business class flight to get home, but I found premium economy, which, to give you a little spoiler, this is what premium economy looks like on American Airlines. For those of you who've flown domestically, it looks nothing like this, right? It's a waste of time and not any good. But on these wide body airplanes, the Boeing 787s, the Airbus, A350s, planes like that, premium economy is really nice. It actually looks a lot like domestic first class. So this is a bulkhead seat. You see there's a recliner right there. It reclines pretty well. I just flew 14 hours in premium economy on Delta, and it was quite wonderful. Like, it was actually just fine. I slept like a baby, and I was really tired, and it worked out. So great seat. Definitely not the cheap seats. Really nice. So here's what I found for you. To fly nonstop back home, Copenhagen to Philadelphia, 8.5 hours in premium economy. This is a daytime flight, by the way, so you don't have to necessarily go to bed, which is nice. The other one's a nighttime flight. 47,000 points per person plus $95, so a total of 94,000 miles total. Again, where do we get those from? We have a big bank of city points that transfer to American. We can transfer points and book. The cash rate of these flights right now is $3,372. So still in a really solid 3.38 cents per point redemption. And again, this is peak summertime. This is really good to find availability. So the breakdown of the numbers, I won't say it all again. I don't want to confuse you, but let's focus on the bottom here. The total cash price of all these flights for two people is about $10,000. The total points price is 224,000 points plus around $400, and that's including that cash flight you paid for intra-Europe. This couple, right, is earning more than this, like 300,000 points a year. So like already we found a way for them to get $10,000 of travel, and hopefully we can use the rest of those points for hotels or something else, and we'll talk about that. But like, that is a amazing return on your spending already. Okay, so just again, I pulled this in a few minutes before the call started. I could have spent a lot more time and found maybe even a better deal, but I actually purposely didn't give myself that much time to do this, so I could just so to show you how quick it can be. I just looked on American Airlines website. So a lot of you are probably a little bit overwhelmed hearing some of this and like, what in the world? Do I have to go and look at 17 different airline websites to go find these deals Colin's talking about? And the answer is kind of yes, kind of no. That is a good way to do it if you have a lot of free time. But luckily, there are some really cool tools out there. I'm not going to get into them right now that do this for you. So these names are kind of confusing. I definitely would check out, if you're going to write one down, point.me. What these tools do is, instead of you having to go to individual airline websites, they scan the websites for you and pull data out and find you the best deals. So here's what one looks like on the right side of your screen. This is a deal that found me from JFK to Milan and Emirates in business class for 87,000 points. Really, really cool tools that will turn hours into minutes, literally, because they do all the work for you. So I would definitely recommend checking those out. Point.me would probably be the one to start with. It's probably the most user friendly. It's basically, Google Flights, but for points. So very, very helpful. So I want to, we've talked a lot about flights here. Awesome. Flights are fun and a focus for a lot of people. I do want to mention something about hotels. So I'm not going to spend too much time here, but I'll tell you this. The best hotel program, without question, is Hyatt. I'm not saying that Hyatt has the best hotels in the world. Marriott's got great hotels. Hilton has great hotels. I'm just saying their points program is the best. And here's why. They put all their hotels into categories, and they're the same price, more or less, every single night of the year. So that Park Hyatt in St. Kitts, right, is 25,000 points per night, almost every night of the year. But as you know, right, we talked about, the cash rate will get well over $1,000 a night. So this award chart creates an incredible arbitrage opportunity, because the points price stays the same down here and the cash race gets crazy high up here. That's when you win with hotels, and there's no better opportunity than with Hyatt to do that. So to show you one quick example, this is going to be for a long weekend in January. This is the Park Hyatt, which is their kind of highest level, kind of like a Ritz-Carlton, Beaver Creek in Colorado in the mountains there. ski in, ski out, super nice high-end place. So look at that rate. Standard rate is at $2,400 a night during peak ski season, which I think is absolutely criminal, and I can't believe they can charge that for a standard room. That's not even a suite, that's a standard room. But whatever, that's what they charge, and I guess people pay it. But I'm not going to pay it, and hopefully you don't either, because again, the points price for this is only 180,000 points. So $1,800 worth of Hyatt points for a $9,400 stay. That's an incredible 5.24 cents per point value. Amazing. Again, if you're saying, wait, I don't have any Hyatt points, do I have to get a Hyatt credit card? No, no, no. Remember, let's go back, right? Transfer partners. Okay. Chase transfers to World of Hyatt at a 1-to-1 ratio. So if you're like this couple that we set up here that has Chase points and City points, you can transfer them to American, you can transfer them to Hyatt, and you can take advantage of deals like this. Other programs have great deals. I'm just giving you guys a quick snapshot of something that's possible with American Airlines and Hyatt, but I could show you examples of 15 other programs with also awesome deals. I can only choose so many though to share on a presentation like this. So hopefully you don't have a headache. Hopefully this is at least a little bit entertaining, interesting, and you're like, wait a minute, this is kind of clicking. These airline hotel programs sometimes offer like ridiculous pricing where I could get $10,000 to $15,000 worth of travel for only 2, 3, 4,000 bucks worth of points. That's crazy. And if you're thinking that, you're right. This stuff is out there. I'm not going to say it's easy. I'm not going to say it's for dummies and it's like you can do it any time of the year and it couldn't be simpler to do. It takes a little effort. It takes some pain. But once you kind of understand the system, it's really, really, really doable. So step one to do this, you got to put together a credit card strategy. You got to get the right cards. Step two, you got to start earning points, obviously. You can do that by spending. If you want to churn a few credit cards, I don't necessarily recommend that. That can be dangerous. Talk to Shane and the team about that before you do it. But yeah, if you opened one new card a year, is that going to destroy your credit score? Probably not. Not if you're responsible. But for a lot of people, that's just not something that's worth doing because it's too confusing and it becomes kind of a part-time job at a certain point to manage 10 credit cards. Step three, and this is the big one that most people never achieve: learn how to use your points effectively and get good deals. Most people just don't invest the time to learn this, and I get that. And one of the reasons, and that's actually one of the reasons I offer kind of a done for you service. So I have a deal where I say, you have 300,000 points, you and your spouse want to go to Europe, I'll do all this work for you. I'll find a deal for you and you pay me a fee if I find you a good deal. So, you can use someone like me. There's other people who offer this, that are my competitors. And you can also, though, totally learn it yourself. You do never have to pay somebody, but if you don't want to put in the time, it may make sense just to pay somebody. Same thing with your financial planning, right? It's kind of nice to just pay someone sometimes. So step four then is you actually got to book these trips. So I find a lot of people, and this may surprise some of you, hoard credit card points. People that are sitting on literally millions of points they've accumulated over 20 plus years. And because for a million different reasons, they just like don't use them. The whole point of all of this, like I'm not just some bot, some nerd. Like I'm very passionate about travel, specifically family travel. I think it can be awesome. Like it's been so good for my family and so good for so many families I know. It's like the whole point here is to actually go book awesome trips with your family. So if you don't do that, you failed. If you do step 1 through 3 but not 4, you're kind of a failure in this game, right? You got to book the trip. You got to actually go somewhere. I'll give you these 2 free resources, Shane. I can email you these after the call. Very helpful. This, how to get 2 to 10x more value. If you're a little bit confused about how transferring points worked and what I said went a little bit over your head, this is like a full 15-page breakdown that should make it a lot simpler, and you can kind of go at your own pace and read it and like truly understand it. So hopefully that's helpful to you. And yeah, I'll just share, like, if you are reading this and think, okay, I need some extra help, I do offer one-on-one support. So I do have that research service where I find deals for you, and I have a consultation service where I'll sit down with you and help you come up with the best credit card strategy. So if those interest you, awesome. This is my website, gosomewhere.world. You can check out more of what I do. I post on LinkedIn every day, multiple times a day. I encourage you to follow me there to kind of learn more about how this stuff works. And then I also have a newsletter. It's pretty helpful. It comes out on Friday mornings. So I don't have anything else I wanted to share right now with you guys, but hopefully that was helpful. and hopefully you have some questions. So I'll take a pause here, and then Shane, why don't you moderate that? We can get into some questions. Feel free to ask me about anything, and hopefully I can get you guys some good answers. But thank you so much for listening, and thank you for your time. Really appreciate all of your attention. It's not lost on me. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Colin. Yeah, I mean, I truly think this is valuable, and that's why, we had you come and speak about this because we work with so many people that they want to travel and they may or may not be able to do it out of pocket. And I think this is a way that, if everybody spends money every month, right? So if you can figure out how to maximize that for travel, I think it's valuable.
Yeah,
So yeah, if anybody has any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. I did have a question actually, Colin, because we were talking with
sure.
somebody a couple weeks ago and they're renting right now. And I know that Built card is I've heard some pretty good things about that just in terms of like paying rent with that card. Have you looked into that or like what's your thoughts on that card?
Yeah, I actually have that card. I'm currently a renter right now, for better or for worse. Yeah, I mean it's really interesting. They're the first card that allows you to earn points on rent. Now it's not crazy points. You earn 1 point per dollar on rent, and to actually get those points, you have to do 5 other transactions every month on the card, and that can just be like $1. It doesn't have to be a
Mhm.
lot. So that's a little bit annoying sometimes to keep track of. But yeah, I mean rent or mortgage is most people's number one expense. So if you're paying especially in the higher end, like $3,000+ a month.
Yeah.
Yeah, you may as well. Also, Build has a lot of great transfer partners, like I mentioned here. And they also typically offer very generous transfer bonuses. Like it'll be a 50% bonus to, British Airways or something. So if you transfer over 100,000 points, you end up with 150,000. So Built is kind of known for that. They've got a really cool program. So yeah, definitely recommend them for renters. And I hear, don't quote me on this, I'm hearing like news. I need to look into it more that they're going to roll out a mortgage program sometime in
Mm,
2026 where you could earn points on your mortgage, which
that
that
would
would be
be,
crazy.
yeah.
No one's ever done that before. There actually is a new credit card that earns points on mortgages. Mesa, it's called MESA. Actually, I need to look into that one more, but the built with the mortgage thing could be really interesting. So yeah, great question. It's a solid card. And I mean, I have it. I think it's worth for renters for sure.
Awesome.